Good evening, this is Left, Right and Centre. I'm Nidhi Razdan. Delhi is a virtual gas chamber. If you step out, all you see is a smoky haze, a smog so thick and the air so poisonous that you can smell it and feel it entering your lungs. This has been the most toxic Diwali that Delhi has seen in years, with pollution levels up to 30 to 40 times the safe limit as prescribed by the World Health Organization. And it's not just the firecrackers, it's also dust, the burning of crop stubble in areas and states around Delhi that have all added to the crisis. And for the first time today, a school in the national capital has announced that it will shut down for a few days. Because remember, it's children that are the most affected by this pollution. The question is, what is the Delhi government doing? Is it doing enough? And isn't it time to declare a health emergency? Well, just to let you all know that NDTV has started this petition. It's a petition that we're going to be sending to the President of India, to the Prime Minister and to Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal, where children from across schools in India are signing on, appealing to all decision makers for urgent intervention in the quality of air. And it's not just kids who can sign on to this petition. We'd like to see thousands and lakhs of signatures, in fact. And so if you go onto our website, ndtv.com, you can sign on to this petition as well. Joining us on the program tonight, we have Atishi Marlena, spokesperson of the Aam Aadmi Party, Amita Wathal, principal of Springdale School, Dr. Naresh Trehan is with us today, and Mr. Chandra Bhushan from the Centre for Science and Environment also with us today. Dr. Trehan, let me come to you first. I remember that last winter when the pollution crisis and the discussion on that really began, you scared us with a very scary image of what actually happens to the human lung as a result of what we're breathing. Give us, a sense once again of how toxic this actually is for us.
So, what I showed last time was the fact that, I operate every morning and I can actually see the lungs of people. And if you look at it, there's a marked difference between the residents of rural areas or hilly areas and that of people coming around from Delhi and NCR and, region around us. And they are actually charcoal grey. So you know that this is actually breathed in particles, carbon, which is depositing in the lungs. It is not only scary, it's criminal that we actually allow it to happen. Now the point is that we start this whole program like, we didn't know it was going to happen. We knew it was going to happen. The government starts talking about it, it's bad. We knew it was going to happen. It's like chikungunya and dengue was to happen.
Yeah, and will happen again.
So, so what you're saying is that the authorities, whoever they may be, it is their absolute failure to protect their own citizens. That's what the governments are for, to protect the citizens. So, if you ask me, I think the citizens are to blame, not the government. Everybody is happy doing their work, go back home, complain, look at TV, discuss with each other. We have not made a pressure point. Now, what you just announced today will have some effect, where zillions of people sign on. You will understand that, look, the government, this is a voting issue. If you fail, we will not vote you back in. Unless it becomes like that, the governments don't respond. This is the sad fact about India, and that is what we need to do. If I sound angry, I am angry. How do you take these innocent children, destroy their lungs, their neurological system? You don't understand that these noxious gases are actually affecting the brains of children whose brain is in the formative stage. You take the older people, our hospitals are full with people with pneumonia, with cough, with asthma. Should we be even just talking about it? And I think the biggest failure of the government has been, whichever government, I'm not talking about one single or the other, is that they have ignored civil society completely. They have not taken the power. You look at the resource here. They are worried about their own future. Have we ever talked to the students and say, look, you take responsibility for these areas, your RWAs, your cooperative societies, whatever, and these are the measures you can take. This is what you do, and this is the government will do to help you.
So
we talk about garbage, we talk about construction sites. All this can be managed.
So Atishi, that question immediately comes to you, because it comes to what the Delhi government is doing or is not doing. Would you concede that there is a lot more the state government could have done?
See, there's absolutely no doubt about the fact that air pollution is a serious problem. So anyone who says that enough has been done and more cannot be done is obviously fooling themselves as well as others. So yes, more can be done and more has to be done. The question, however, is that particularly in a place like Delhi, on an issue like environment, I think it's, yes, the government needs to take many steps, both short-term steps and long-term steps. But I think, as Dr. Trehan said, I think this is not a job any one government can do on their own. For example, at this point of time in the year, as it's been repeatedly coming into the news, crop burning is an extremely important issue. Crop residue gets burnt in Haryana, gets burnt in Punjab, and that is what really triggers off the extremely bad pollution cycle at this time of year. That is not a decision that the Delhi government can take on its own. So, and on multiple forums now, we have been urging chief ministers of the different states, and I'm extremely happy that we have a coordination meeting called by the central government tomorrow, where actually we hope that everyone can sit together on the table and resolve the problem. Second point, I actually agree with Dr. Trehan completely, that one of the challenges that we have also faced and realized in the past year, while we have been trying to implement some measures, especially like cracking down upon things like burning of garbage on construction sites where norms are not being followed, is that implementation is always a challenge. And I do agree with Dr. Trehan, and this is the conclusion we have come to as well, that there is a need to involve citizens. Unless citizens come together, this is not a problem that we can resolve. And in fact, just 2 days back, we have actually announced that we are going to set up a helpline on which citizens can report, number one, if there's any garbage burning going on, number two, if there are construction sites that are not following norms, and number three, we are also hoping to announce in the coming few days that if there are petrol pumps that are giving PUC certificates, pollution under control certificates, if they are not checking whether the pollution is actually under control, citizens can report that as well.
You know, I mean, I'll take the helplines with a pinch of salt, because we've seen what happens to a lot of helplines in this country. However, having said that, why has a health emergency not been declared? Why has the Delhi government not announced that schools should be shut down? If it happens in China, when pollution crosses a certain danger level, immediately schools are closed. Now, today, one school in the NCR region has announced that it's closing down. There seems to be a lack of response, a lack of urgent response. And, you know, while Arvind Kejriwal, I know, is busy with a lot of other political issues, would be nice to see him trying to deal with this on a more urgent basis.
Number one, I think that, see, when you say the fact that China schools shut down is because they have had a long-standing problem with this, a longer-standing problem than we have. I think in Delhi for the past 1 or 2 years, the extent to which this problem manifests in the winters is something that we are also coming to terms with. So yes, as a city, we are also establishing our systems. We are also setting up about 80 air quality monitoring sites across the city for us to be able to effectively monitor.
Down. It's just an announcement.
Just 1 second. Yeah. So we are also, in the sense, setting up our systems. We have so that at any point we would be able to judge whether now it is a situation, as you do in the heat or the cold, that the city cannot function. So this is something where the systems are still falling in place. We are constantly in touch with various doctors, with medical practitioners, and that is a step that we feel needs to be taken.
Amita Patil, do you believe, is your school planning to you know, call off classes, especially for younger students?
Before I say that, what I would like to say is that, you know, students or schools are microcosms of that macrocosm that is society, and children across Delhi and NCRs are extremely sensitive and have done huge things vis-a-vis the way they've looked at crackers. I mean, there are people in this audience, when you asked earlier, the children haven't fired those crackers. So I think really adults have to learn from what children are doing.
Absolutely.
And they have been held hostage and they are victims of the adults. Now, having said that, what I would like to say about schools shutting down, you see, every school is not an elite school. For example, I know that within my school, there are hundreds of parents who are middle class, lower middle class, who actually do not have the privilege of having people helping them in the home, who are both going to work, and who've rung me up and said, you know, if you're going to close down the school, who's going to look after the kids? And they'll go out into the parks and there'll be an issue. So I'm thinking that people like us who are basically looking, India is our classroom. So if India is my classroom, what I have to look at is how can I sort of help children within my system. Like, for example, the coaching has been put to an end because children, they're not having coaching classes because in the morning it's really bad. And in my area, the pollution standard indexes are extremely high because I'm on that crossroads of the Pusa Road area.
So you mean outdoor physical activity?
So I've done that. Everybody doesn't have an air-conditioned school that you can pack children in. Besides, it's become cold. You can't have children in air conditioners. I've ensured that I have a doctor on call. I have cars over there in case children have problems. Also, we have things like nebulizers. We have rung up all students who are suffering from severe lung infections to tell their parents to try not to bring them because these are asthmatic issues. So, we're trying to do our bit, keep children within the corridors, keep children within the school, keep them safe, ensure that they are not outside. But, suddenly to shut school like this.
I think that's actually a very important point, and I hadn't seen it that way. So I'm glad you pointed that out. Mr. Bhushan, I know you're upset and angry obviously with the lack of action until now, but what are the 3 things you think that the government needs to do right away?
Any government, including Delhi government, and I will be very specific, has done nothing for last 1 year. Okay, that's the fact. They can keep saying that they are cracking down on construction site. I think we have to be very frank. After the odd and even that happened last winter, we have lost a year. We had an action plan. We exactly knew what to do. We had to remove dust from road. We have to crack down on construction site. We had to work with Punjab and Haryana and incentivize farmers not to burn. We had to make sure that we get more buses on the road so the people can drive less, and we could have emergency odd and even, and we will have enough bus for people to move. We had a complete action plan in place. Shut down Badarpur thermal power plant and 300 acres of fly ash that is dumped there. We had all the action plan in place. Okay, it's just that nothing happened. Okay, and we can keep blaming bad atmospheric condition, Haryana not doing and Punjab not doing, but within ourselves we have to ask, what have we done in the city? And frankly, we have done nothing. And on top of it, we are saying that I will put air purifier at 5 intersections as if a miracle will happen in the city and air will get cleaned, and we will do misting and throw water on the road to reduce dust. I think, are we stupid? Everyone knows that these things don't work. There are hard actions to be taken, and those actions have not been taken. So yes, I'm very angry. It's not that we didn't know about it. We knew about it. We have supported Delhi government on odd and even despite all the opposition to odd and even. But it was very clear, you can do odd and even, but you also have to do number of actions. Okay, odd and even is an emergency thing to do.
Yeah.